Hello, my dear students of class 4. Welcome back to our English class. This is me, Miss Villiers from Mount Sinai Higher Secondary School. Today, we are going to start a new lesson. We have already done a lot of interesting lessons in the previous classes, and today you are going to learn something new. It's not only a story, but it is also something that we have to know. We have been hearing about letterboxes. We have been hearing about post boxes that our parents have been sending letters in their times. But have you ever wondered how the first post box came into use? I repeat, have you ever wondered how the first post box was into use? Okay, we have to learn about it. It is not only about enjoying the facilities that we have right now, but it is also important for us to understand how those things derived. Okay, so the title of our lesson is The World's First Post Box. Let's repeat, the world's first post box. We are doing for class 4, lesson number 7. And if you want to look for the page, it's in page number 25. It is in page number 25. And we are going to learn how the world's first post box came into being. Before I go on to the next picture, I want you to think of what a post box is. You're in class 4. I'm sure you know about post boxes, right? When you want to send a letter, you cannot just go and give it to anybody. If you want to send a letter to New Delhi, let's take that example. I'm sure you cannot just go and give it to a bus and they will carry. No, not like that. We have to go to the proper way. We have to give the stamps. We have to post it into the letterbox. The postman will come and collect it. And then only our letter can be sent to the person whom we are writing our letter to. Okay? See, yes, what you pictured is right. This is a post box, or it can be also called a letterbox. Okay, this is a post box or a letterbox. This is how you can see two children, two friends of yours are trying to post letters. It is not that only elder persons can post a letter. You also can do that, okay? If you want to write a letter to someone, or it does not have to be in a faraway place, but imagine that your auntie lives in Dimapur and you want to send a letter to your auntie, you can ask her address from your parents or from that auntie, try posting a letter. After finishing the story, I'm going to give you a work, okay? That is, you have to post a letter to your brother, sister, or someone that lives away from your town or even in another colony. It does not have to be in another town. You can even post letters to another colony if you write the correct address and see how interesting it is to exchange letters. These days, technology, you don't have mobile phones maybe of your own, but you have so many mobile phones at home. You see your brothers using the mobile phone. You see your sister, your parents attending classes or attending to some meetings on the mobile phones. And see, all this technology has taken over letter writing, but there is also another excitement when you post a letter to the letterboxes or you receive one. Okay, I want you to try this activity after you finish listening to this story. But getting back to the lesson, we are going to learn some new words again as usual. I've always been telling you that new words, learning the meanings before getting into the story is one very important thing when it comes to English subject, and not only English, but also in all the different subjects. Because unless you understand the meaning of a word, how can you understand the story, isn't it? Just think about it. If I am trying to write a very nice story and give it to you, but you don't understand, there is no point for me to write that beautiful story, right? And so that is why we have to learn word meanings, okay? Okay, the first word that you are going to learn is sailor. Okay, let me use this. Can you see this? Sailor, a person with a job on the ship. We are going to repeat one word twice, okay? Sailor, a person with a job on the ship. Cape, a piece of land to the coast and sticking out into the sea. Cape, a piece of land to the coast and sticking out into the sea. Bay, a wide opening along a coast. Bay, a wide opening along a coast. Next, account, a written or spoken report. account. Yes, I want you to read it now. Written or spoken report. Colony, a country or area under the control of a distant country and settled by people from that country. Colony, a country or area under the control of a distant country and settled by people from that country. Concrete, mixture of sand, small stones, cement, and water. Concrete, mixture of sand, small stones, cement, and water. Unusual, strange, unusual, strange. And okay, we are now going to discuss about a person also, of how he made the letterbox come into being. Okay, he was the first person to introduce letterboxes to the world, not only to his people, but also to the world. Okay, because of him, people started learning the importance and the advantage of using a letterbox. Okay, this person is Bartholomew Dice. Okay, Bartholomew Dice discovered the Cape of Good Hope in 1948. Bartholomew Dice discovered the Cape of Good Hope in 1948. So, you know what is discovered? Finding a new place is called discovered. A place where someone had never been to, but if you are the first person to go and find that, that means you have discovered, okay? So that is called discovering. Now I'm going to ask you, when was the Cape of Good Hope discovered? Yes, it was in the year 1948. We will also be conducting some tests later on, not today in this class, but after we finish some classes, we are going to have some tests. So I want you to remember these things in your mind, okay? Bartholomew Dice is the person who discovered the Cape of Good Hope in the year 1948. But after 2 years, okay, so 48, 49, 50. After 2 years, what happened? He lost his life. He was a sailor, okay? He was a sailor, but he lost his life in the coast of South Africa. He was the person who discovered the Cape of Good Hope, but later on, after 2 years of the discovery of this Cape of Good Hope, he lost his life in the storm, okay? You know what is a storm, right? We don't have ships, we don't travel by ships here in a place, but people traveling through the water have to be very careful of storms. You know what is a storm, right? Rains, winds accompanied by lightning, thunder, all those things come together and makes it a storm. Okay, and so you can see these two pictures. I'm sure you understood by now that these two pictures are not pictures of still water. You know what is a still water? Calm, not moving. That is called still, isn't it? So I'm not a sailor. I've never been into the ship, but you can imagine. You see even in the movies and pictures of how people lost their lives. People lose their life while traveling on the sea, and all those are mostly because of the storm. Yes, you said it right. It's mostly because of the storm. And there was a storm. All the ships sank. That means he was not alone. There were so many ships. Okay. There were so many ships that were sailing along with him. His ships lost. And there was one thing. One of them found shelter. Okay. One of them found shelter. The others all sank. But there was a person who survived in this stormy water. You see the stormy water here. You see the different kinds of ships. Ships can be of different kinds. I will not be explaining the types of ship. Okay, there will be some yachts. Okay, but while on his ship, because of the storm, after 2 years of the discovery of this cape, he lost his life. See how painful it would be. A very prominent person. Prominent means important, okay? A very prominent and well-known person losing his life. He discovered a place where somebody had never gone there. He found a place where nobody had gone, and I'm sure he had been getting a lot of good names. But after 2 years, in the same place, he lost his life, okay? And after the weather cleared, after some time, the weather cleared, okay? The captain decided to sail, but he also decided to write an account first. You know what is an account? We already read in the word meanings. If you are still unaware, you can always go to the page where the word meanings are. It will be found there, okay? So the captains, there will be a captain in every ship, okay? There will be a captain in every ship. This is also another ship captain, and it is through the advice and the suggestions or the orders of the captain that a ship will sail. If the captain says that they have to do this, they have to stop, all the other members, the crew, okay, that means all the people in the ship had to obey him. He is the captain. You can imagine of a leader in your class. If that leader says it is not good, I'm sure the whole class obeys them. Or in a classroom, the teacher. The teacher may not scold you, but if the teacher says that he or she feels that that is going to be good for your class, the whole class starts obeying, and you may even be happy to obey your teachers, isn't it? There are some students who are a little naughty, but whenever teacher says something, I'm sure you want to do that again because you know that your teachers are telling you what is going to be the best for you. Okay, and so the captain of the ship. Remember, one ship survived. All the other ships sank. Okay, and also Bartholomew lost his life, but one ship survived, and they were waiting for the weather to get cleared, because if they go into the water again in this stormy weather, they know that their lives would be in danger. They may not be able to survive, or even if they survive, there would be shipwreck, the damaging of the ship, isn't it? In the water, the ship will get broken. That is called a shipwreck, okay? And so the captain decided to do something. He decided to write an account of everything that happened in the storm. Okay, there were so many ships that sank into the water. The captain decided to write some accounts, to write all the records of what happened. We know, we read the newspapers, they also give reports of what happened. If there was an accident that took place yesterday, the reporters will write every detail and give it in the newspaper, and then the people will come to know of how actually that accident happened, because people are curious to know how, why, where, and who were there, isn't it? And that is the reason why the captain also decided to write something. He might have gone through a lot of pains. You imagine your friends getting lost, your friends dying because of some sickness. But for the captain, it was a painful thing, because one of his fellow sailor died in this storm. He could not do anything to save his friend. So he might be thinking, it would be good for me to write all the details of what happened in this storm. And he started writing the account, okay? He wrote a detailed account on how Bartholomew died, put the letter on a shoe, and hung it on a tree. So he did not just write and throw it there. Sometimes you want to write some thoughts. You are in class 4. Have you ever tried writing any poem, or have you ever tried writing anything that comes to your mind? Sometimes you keep writing, and later on you realize it's not so good, so you just roll it and throw it into the dustbin. If you are a person who does that, don't do that, okay? It may not be perfect, but after some years, your writings will be useful to somebody. You can even write diaries as a student, okay? It is important to write diaries. Who knows, someday you may become the President of India. You may become the Chief Minister, or you may become a very well-known person. By the time people will come looking for your diaries or your writings. Some of you may take this as a joke right now, but when you grow up, you will realize what I'm trying to tell you now. We know there are people who maintains diary very clearly. In higher classes, you will also read about diary writing, of how little children or young children write their diaries, and then later on their diaries are used in the school as a lesson for the students. So you can also start writing diaries and accounts. I'm talking about this captain who wrote about Bartholomew dies, but there is also something that you can do. Don't just keep listening to the story, okay? You also think of what you can do from the story that you are learning right now. And he put the letter on a shoe. Can you see this picture? There is a shoe hanging on a tree, right? And there's something stuff inside. That was the letter, okay? That was the letter written by the captain. And he wrote every account of what happened in the storm and also about Bartholomew. Bartholomew was a well-known person, and he wrote about how Bartholomew died. He did not give all the accounts, but he wrote. We are not able to get everything in detail in this story, but he wrote about how Bartholomew died. He must have gone through struggles, or maybe the shipwreck happened. Okay, and then he hung it on a tree so that people will come to know about this Bartholomew, that people will be able to learn of how the shipwreck happened, of how the storm destroyed so many ships and people, lives, and I'm sure goods will be there. They will be carrying something, okay? So those things got spoiled. A year later, you can look at this, Jauda Nova arrived, found the letter. Jauda Nova is also another sailor, okay? He was another sailor. Nobody knew. In those days, don't compare it to the modern day, okay? We have phones, we have internet, we have social media, so many things. If anything happened, you can post it in a flick of a second, right? In a flick of a second, you can post everything and then the world will get to know about it, okay? But in the earlier days, there were no such thing. The only thing that they can rely is letter, and letter was not much in use. And so he wrote the letter and put it there. Zhao Da Nova arrived and found the letter after a year, and he established a small colony. Zhao Da Nova established a small colony. We learned what is a colony, right? Colony is not the colonies that we have here. The colony that we are talking about here is if a person from another country or another place goes to a particular place, develop his colony there, he will take his people and go there, okay? You can imagine of Americans coming to Nagaland, settling there, bringing their own people. That is colony, okay, colonizing, or they can even control the people in that colony. They are not from the place, but they went there and settled there and also colonized. That means colonizing people, okay. The people use the shoe letterbox. So they found how important it is to have a letterbox, so they use that shoe as a letterbox, not like the modern day post boxes that we see by the side of the roads or near the post offices. The crew of the ships use this shoe letterbox. Not only 1 or 2% or the settlers there, but the crew. That means the members in the ship all used the shoe letterbox. Okay, they had been using the shoe letterbox to pass on their letters and also to receive their letters, right? Okay, and so the shoe continued to be in use. And remember, in the first picture, I showed you on how the shoe was hung on a tree, isn't it? The shoe was hung on a tree, and the tree still stands in the town of Mossel Bay, okay? You can look at this. The tree still stands in the town of Mossel Bay in South Africa. So the tree is still there, okay? The tree that was used by this captain still stood there, and it is still standing in the Bay of Mossel in South Africa. And presently, a concrete post box stands in its ancient place. Ancient means the exact place where the shoe was hung. Now, you see, we have learned about concrete, isn't it? Mixture of sand, small stones, cement, water. I'm sure by looking at this picture, you know what is a concrete now. Earlier, there was a shoe, a real shoe. Now they have made a shoe letterbox, but with concrete, though it is in the shape of a shoe, okay? And it is in the shape of an old Portuguese shoe because Bartholomew Dias was a Portuguese. He died. So in his memory and also in memory of the first letterbox, which was used by the Portuguese, the shoe was not like the other shoes, but the shoe of a Portuguese, okay? It stood there and is still standing there in the exact place where the first letterbox was used. The first letterbox was a shoe letterbox. We have learned about that. And so that was how the use of post box started. Now you may be thinking that there is nothing special with letterboxes, but after learning the story of Bartholomew Dias and how the captain of the other ship wrote an account of how everything happened, there was no idea of any letterboxes. But he quickly got an idea that he can use his shoe, okay? He can use a shoe as a letterbox, and from there, people got to know the importance of having a letterbox. Every sailor will come and use that. The people in that colony will use that letterbox to pass on their letters. So that is how the first post box came into use. And with this, we are going to wind up our class for today. I want to thank you so much for being patient and listening to this story. I would also encourage you to finish the exercises. I'm sure by listening to the story, you don't have to go through the book, but can easily finish the exercises that are there. But when I say that, I don't mean that you don't have to go to your textbook. Go to your textbook and see whether the exercises that you have done are correct or not. Okay. Thank you so much. In the next class, I'm coming to you with another very, very interesting topic. I want you to be there. I cannot reveal that right now. So until then, I want you all to be sincere with your studies. Get in touch with your studies if you are a person who has already lost touch because of this situation. Thank you so much.